Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Montarctica podcast. Last night I had my good buddy Nate Salsbery all the way from Helena in on the podcast with me. But first off, I just want to say a couple things before we get started. First, happy birthday to my mom. Mom, I love you. Happy birthday. Today's your big day, and I know we're both going to work, so that's a lot of fun. Anyway, I want to talk about May 17th. Friday, May 17th, I'm putting on my first comedy show down in Glasgow at the Cottonwood Inn. Bringing along Lucas Seeley and 4 other comedians out of Hollywood, and they've all been on TV, produced movies, all kinds of stuff. They're going to be phenomenal. Anyway, that's May 17th, Friday evening at the Glasgow Cottonwood Inn. And without further ado, on to the podcast, my good buddy, Nate Salsbery. He's a veteran of foreign wars. He's a musician. He's been my business partner before, and a lifelong friend. Enjoy.
Desperate times and measures abound. When I can't find my way to the ground, all hard times have taught me how. A hardened soul and a furrowed brow. And I can't do this on my own. I'm drawn from a well that's dry as a bone. Losing all the things that make one whole. Left with the cold that makes me. Obscure smiles and cultured lies. Choose a side and hypnotize. Divided line and a picket lane. And break it down and it's all the same. And I can't do this drunk from a well that's dry as a bone. While losing all the things that make one whole. And I'm left with the cold that makes me.
Yeah, Nate Salsbery, ladies and gentlemen. God dang, Nate. Been a while, man.
It has been a while.
Give him a second while he switches over there. You got another song you wanted to play too? Is that what you were thinking?
I know I got a few new ones in here I've been working on. Might as well got it all set up with my dead arm here, so
Yeah, he's in here with a broken wing or wounded wing, and he's playing his banjo just to set the visual up for you. He's got his banjo up on the bar stool, and he's holding with one hand, and the bar stool's helping him with his banjo, and he's playing the shit out of it. So we'll let him do another one.
Never go back to the way I was, an ambivalent, ridiculous man. If I could do it over and take that bedland down, well, I'd stay about the same that I am. Well, I gotta think it over, Lord, it smells like a five-leaf clover, trying to slow this whole thing down. Well, I've known some good men laid to rest, a good friend, your man, in this alkaline sulfide ground. But I'm grateful for the wind in the water and this roof hanging over my head. But I got broken dreams and the world ain't all that it seems, and we can never go back again. Oh, we raised a little heck, and them little arm hills, we stuck that two-wheel drive 12 times. We boated heads and laid that title down on the Badlands, Montana state line. Well, it's time to think it over, Lord, it smells like a five-leaf clover, trying to slow this whole thing down. I've known some good men laid to rest, a good friend, your man, in this alkaline sulfide ground. But I'm grateful for the wind in the water and this roof hanging over my head. But I got broken dreams and the world ain't all that it seems. We can never go back again. We can never go back to the way I was, an ambivalent, ridiculous man. If I could do it over and lay that fiddling down, hell, I'd stay about the same that I am. Oh, we raised a little head, and them little arm hills, we stuck that two-wheel drive 12 times. We boated heads and laid that title down on the Montana Badlands state line. Well, I gotta think it over, Lord, it smells like
like a 5-leaf clover, trying to slow this whole thing down. I've known some good men, laid to rest a good friend, your man, in this alkali sulfide ground. But I'm grateful for the wind and the water and this roof hanging over my head. But I got broken dreams and the world ain't all that it seems, and we can never go back.
Hell yeah, man.
I was losing the posture, man. I
As,
got bum wing.
as your guitars or your banjo's falling down the thing, yeah, that's, man, I like that song a lot. I haven't heard you play that one ever yet. That's new to me.
Yeah, it's been
That's awesome.
been lingering around for a while. I
Yeah?
actually left one of the verses sitting on a notepad back in Helena, but
How much of your writing now is on just banjo as opposed to guitar? Are you doing
most of it
most on the banjo?
lately.
God, it sounds cool, man. I like that. That might be the first time we've ever opened the podcast with 10 minutes of straight music, but that's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Hell yeah, I like
I
it.
apologize. I hate,
No,
hate
no
to get
apology.
away from the.
We've done it plenty. We've put music out there plenty, but that was 2 solid originals. How
Yeah,
many?
brand new, man. To be honest with you.
Yeah, you've been writing since I was in high school. I know that. Like, how many albums could you put together? You think, or how many? I mean, you've had a couple. You have thrown together. What do you? How many songs?
I
do you
think
you
right.
got
I think
pumped out?
right now, like I'm sitting on a probably solid 12, 14, somewhere where I just. But I want to do them good, you know.
Oh yeah.
And not that we like my last album was done by some really good people and stuff like that, but it's
There's something to be said about a professional recording studio as opposed to.
yeah, and that and being a more probably polished musician.
Yeah.
You know that I mean in my side of the
Well, and you get some of that. Sometimes you get into a studio too, and if you want to add accompaniment, and there's studio musicians that are. There's some of those guys that just pick shit up right away. You know, I mean, they
Yeah,
you can walk in. Yeah, me too. It's crazy to me.
I mean even the really good ones sometimes they're like what looking at you funny. Like I've played with some really good musicians that
Well, and your style's all been developed on your own. You haven't. It's not like you've really sat down with too many other musicians throughout your entire music career.
yeah, some you know.
I mean, you've been mostly, for the most part, a solo artist. You know, I mean, all over the place, and you get a few guys banging on things here and there every once in a while. But yeah, it's pretty awesome. So you've been doing some more gigs and stuff too.
I have not done too much. I think in 2019 I've done one, and it was kind of a songwriter showcase right there in Helena. So
It's been a short year so far. You got
yeah,
more
it has.
time.
Yeah, I guess.
Hey, explain to everybody what the hell you got hanging off your arm right now.
I call it my Gronk brace.
Yeah, it's just like it.
Yeah, it stops.
Only about
Limits
a
me to
quarter of
about-
the size.
Yeah,
No.
yeah, of a person. Yeah,
Jeez, yeah.
and then yeah, it's got about 20 degrees range of motion right now, and it's the first day I've been able to move it. The elbow a little bit. I ruptured a bicep, so and had surgery on it early last week. So
Just from lifting, or is that what they say? Or
no, I mean
tore it?
probably not gonna broadcast that to the world.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, but yeah, working out.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's
yeah, pop.
yep. Getting older sucks, man. I was just telling those kids I was up at the skate park today, and there's a bunch of. I'm up there, you know. I'm going pretty hard, and I'm up there with all these kids from the high school, and here, hold on just a second. I'll grab one. And anyway, so I'm up there with these kids from the high school, and I kept telling them, I go, I don't bounce the way you guys do. I mean, they're not caring if they crash, you know. They're jumping off and rolling down the hill, and I'm like, 3 of those, and I got a broken arm. Like, it doesn't.
One of those.
Yeah. That's pretty gross. Just a minute, I'll grab you one out here.
All right.
I can always.
Well, I mean, we got to keep the dead air going or whatever. I just rolled in from Helena. It's all of a 5-hour trip, up through the mountains and then across the High Line, and I had all of my kids with me, and a couple of them, one coming in from college, and couple of them right there in the end of their tender rebellion years. Perfect.
What that? Took some of the cups out here, I think. I don't see any in there. Normally I got a whole stack of them.
No worries.
Yeah, man. So, you're still in Helena. You've kind of set roots there. Do you want to, is that, you
I
think
don't
you want
know.
to maybe retire there someday, or?
I don't in Helena.
Yeah.
No, man. I mean, we miss
Over here?
Malta big time.
Yeah?
You know, we miss Missoula.
Yeah, I like
And-
Missoula too, man.
And there's things I like about Helena. I mean, there's
Yeah.
things I miss about Billings from a long time ago. And
There's not much I miss about Billings, other than my family that lives down there. But
Well,
yeah,
yeah,
there is. And now Billings has a ton going on now. There's a huge live comedy and live music scene going around there now that wasn't there when I lived there in 04. None of that was happening, you know. And now there's actually shit to do there.
yeah, and I think it just kind of depends on the people you're around, no matter where you're at. So
For sure. And that might have been part of it too, just not,
I think the landscape and something about the land and everything else is I'm sitting on it right now here in Malta, Montana. So
Yeah. I like Malta, that's, I always tell people, like, I got the other two kids, they're split, so we're here for however long, and there's certain things I like, don't get me wrong, I really like that Florida beach down there too, but it's always nice to come home, no matter, like, even if you're out on vacation, a week later you get home and you're like, my own couch, or whatever it is, that draws you into the place, or...
there's something about the actual culture in this town too,
Yeah, it
where
is.
you I long for my kids to be able to have something like that.
Yeah.
As opposed to going to a school with 1,000 kids in it. And
Well, and even like today, we were at the track meet, junior high track meet, and the kids, even the last place kids running on Malta's team, have a whole section of stands still cheering for them.
oh yeah.
Come on, push it. And,
Well, not only that, but
yell them down the track, and I mean, you don't see that from every single town, and it's pretty huge around here of just the support, the community support and stuff.
Yeah, there's really I don't know a lot of places that really compare to it.
Yeah, me neither. Well, and then again, it's a pretty small town.
Yeah.
I was watching a little documentary of an artist out of Red Lodge. Satsang is what he calls himself. He's kind of a reggae style. He'd fit in Missoula really well with what he does, but he's getting pretty big out of there. And he was talking about one thing in Red Lodge. The city council had wrote into it a long time ago. There would be no drive-throughs. So they've totally eliminated all the McDonald's, anything that would come through and take over local industry.
Brilliant.
Yeah, that's what I said. He goes, it's still like that. He goes, they've changed hands up at the mountain all these times, and they got a new investor, thinks he's going to come in and make it the new Aspen,
Yeah.
And it just has never accumulated nothing more
Well,
than a
it's
Class
still
B town.
It's kind of a hot spot like that still.
It is, but
yeah.
it's not. It's still a little Class B town type thing,
And a dude working at the mine out there can still make it.
Yeah.
Can still hold the place out there,
Yeah, and like I said, most of their main street is mom and pop shops. They got a local brewery, all that kind of shit.
Yeah, they have a songwriting festival out there. I really looked
Really?
into it last year, but I can't get my foot in any kind of doors. You know how it goes.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to go push your way into them. I don't know.
Yeah, you're better at that than me.
Go sit outside of it and just start playing.
I'll just go play in my
eventually-
basement.
Well, that's about the amount of my music too. I got all these cool instruments and shit in here, and that's about as far as I make it with any of it. Is playing for myself, sitting on my couch or in here and banging on the drums, annoying my neighbors.
And honestly, I really do love playing in front of people. Like, I've grown to like it a lot more, but I don't know if I ever set out to play in front of a whole bunch of different people, just
Stadium rocket.
yeah, none of that. I like it playing in the basement and a few friends around and stuff like that, and you get creating things,
That's the best part I like about it is when you come across that one riff or something new, you go, oh, hey. And then you watch it evolve over the next, which it could be a year or
I'm the same
5
way.
years or whatever. You seem to have an overdrive on songwriting, which is awesome. You always seem to...
Well, it seems like they always kind of come up and polish in 2, 3s, or 4s. I'll have a few of them going and play them all in a little bit of a set and tell some words and start coming together. And
You've always been real good with the words. That's what's always impressed me with your song. I mean, some of the metaphors and stuff, shake my head and go, how the fuck did that come up? Or how'd that pop into his brain? Or,
Yeah.
you know, certain things. I've always liked that. But
No, it definitely takes a, you know, sometimes you got to let go of the first thing you write down. For me, that's sometimes you just got to,
yeah.
you got to rework a structure, or, you know, two different verses could be meaning two different things. I'm like, and looking at it like, yeah, they sound good, but what am I really talking about right here?
Yeah.
Like, because maybe someday, you know, 100 kids are going to listen to this stuff, and you're like,
This could be
you know, yeah.
I don't even know the exact quote, but it's, you know, you could be playing one song for 1,000 people out there, and it means 1,000 different things to
Yeah, that's
know,
also
type of thing,
true,
you know.
you know.
all on how they interpret it. But so, anything else going on in your life other than the busted up arm and
No,
no, just
I mean, it's,
hanging out and
yeah, I work a lot, you know. Yeah, kind of slowed down the last couple of weeks here, but so,
how many years can the Army keep you going?
oh man,
Do-
I don't know. I think 60s where they're like
I was gonna say, when do they finally
absolute.
go?
That's like the limit, you know.
Sir, you must go find another job or
Yeah.
retire. Okay, thanks. Get the
Yeah,
hell out of here.
Right.
No, I've always been curious. I guess I didn't know. I didn't know if there was a cutoff date. They go,
Well, I mean, yeah,
you're 52. Get out of here.
well, I mean, it happens a lot, you know, and you start having joints popping on you and stuff like that. That can definitely speed up the process. So you always kind of feel like there's a shelf life that looms. So,
Yeah.
um,
We've had some other injuries you've worked through.
well, yeah, I mean, coming PTing and coming back from an injury is like, I mean, you're expected to be an athlete in a sense. You know, you got to meet certain physical criteria, and if you can't rehab your way back, then that's it, man.
Well, that's always me. Every time I get hurt or doing something like in any of my extreme sports or whatever I'm doing, you know, I keep thinking in my head, like, what the hell am I going to do when I can't? You know, I mean, if I can't go skiing or snowboarding in the winter or skateboarding in the summer or whatever, it was dirt bikes, you know, and now those have definitely slowed down. I don't even own my own big dirt bike anymore. And
Yeah.
I keep going, man, is my brain ever going to slow down, or I'm just going to go stir crazy if I can't do it? But then all these guys that come up during the summer to skate with us, they're like, well, shit, Jeff Ammon's 56.
Yeah.
And he skates better than I do by a long ways. I mean, he's getting the air out of the bowl and doing grabs and like 56 years old. I'm going, I got 20 some years to catch up. I try this. Maybe I can bring it around someday, but yeah, it's crazy. Him and I mean, there's a bunch of the other guys come up. They're 60.
I mean,
and
you
skating
stay
like
loose.
madmen.
And,
Yeah.
and when you're really good at something like that, you know, the risk goes way down.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, when
Yeah.
you have worked on that for a long time, the risk goes down, man.
Well, like I said, those high school kids, I wish I would have took those lumps that I take now at 18 or
Yeah.
younger. You know, it would have made it a hell of a lot easier to get through than.
When I think
to
some
figure
of
out
some of the
36, but-
stuff that's popping on my body are lumps that are finally,
Old, yeah.
yeah.
Shit, I fight those all the time. I go to a doctor and he's like, you know what you're gonna feel like when you're 50 from all these broken bones and everything. Well, I hope okay. I don't know.
I got a hunch. I kind of feel like it right now.
Yeah, what do you mean? I mean when I get out of bed, it goes crunch and yeah. So you got any plan? Are you gonna try and work into more gigs once your arm heals? Or is
I
that-
am, and you know, I do have a gig. I do have a show in Helena on, I think it's June 19th, somewhere in there at the Raskelter, which is in the Montana Club in the basement.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and it's right downtown in Helena. And I played an open mic there several years ago, and I've always enjoyed that place. It's just I think there's an actual trap door in the basement there that goes to the old brothel that was in there. So there's a
Nice.
ton of history in that place, and it's, you know, got a low ceiling and kind of an intimate space. And when I played a place called Free Ceramics here a couple months ago, which was also very good acoustics, and people come in there and it was like pure quiet when you're playing, and
Oh, really?
that's super hard to find, man.
Yeah, no kidding.
I mean, you go down to the Mint Bar in Malta,
Wow,
Montana.
yeah.
You're in competition with the volume.
Yeah, you better be able to play through all the conversations
Yeah,
you hear.
and that helps being kind of having that maybe arena type delivery, which you know, it's hard. That's hard to come up with a banjo. So
I suppose I should probably talk about it. Today I just finally confirmed the venue and everything. I'm doing a comedy show, my first comedy show in Glasgow. I've done a couple bands down there. I'm bringing a comedy show May 17th to the Cottonwood Inn down in Glasgow. And it's going to be a hell of a show. I got Lucas Seeley coming back, but we're going to do, there's Eddie Zandici, Renee Garcia, John Brickley, and Connor Roma, too. They're all a bunch of guys out of Hollywood, all except for Connor. And Connor just went down and actually played the Comedy Store here a couple of weeks ago in Hollywood and crushed, they said. So he's a stud.
Nice.
He's from Billings. And what they're going to do is they're going to do a bunch of their stand-up, but then it's also kind of like the show I did here in Malta. It's a variety show, kind of Whose Line Is It Anyway-ish. And,
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
yeah, and this one's all like 90s verse. So it's called Saved by the Comedy. It's going to be Saved by the... that Baywatch, Ninja Turtles, whatever you can think of that's 90s.
I seen Bill Clinton sitting on the poster there.
Yeah, I can't imagine what these guys are writing for it, but I'm excited about it. They always come through with something awesome. I've never been disappointed anytime I've hired them. So.
They crushed it too. And Lucas is kind of becoming a mainstay up here on the High Line, and
Yeah.
he does I think he's starting to get a lot of fans up here.
Well, and part of his deal is he's doing a lot of work into the writing end of it now instead of just straight stand-up. He's writing actual skits and sketches, and that to me is kind of what, I guess probably the direction he eventually wants to go is maybe to be able to act in a few things and whatnot. And Eddie, he's produced 3 different movies, got a new one that's coming out real soon, and right as you were pulling up, I had my iPad open, I was looking it up, and he got 8.5 stars out of 10 on IMDb, which is normally those are pretty hard critics. You see a lot of 5 stars and you still like the movie. So yeah, a lot of cool things. And I looked up that Rene Garcia. He's been in a bunch of Miller Lite Miller Lite commercials. He had his own stand-up special on Showtime. I mean, these guys are legit big-time TV comics. So
That is legit, and I love that those guys like to come up here.
oh yeah, and they have a blast up here.
Yeah,
Shit,
it is. I mean, it's a different kind of hospitality up here, is it?
Yeah. Well, that time I had, when I had Adam Hunter up here, I go, what do you, you just got out of LA. What do you think? He goes, I love it. He goes, I just crashed my car in LA this week and I was so mad at my insurance. He goes, I was just in my whole head the whole time. I'm thinking, man, I hate this place. And then I come up to a place like this and everybody's, you're a big star at that point. So
Oh, yeah.
it's, where down there, I suppose you probably blend in a little bit, but yeah, it's a pretty cool deal. And I enjoy having them. I enjoy comedy more myself. I sure as hell haven't got rich off any of it yet, but the biggest thing to me is that I like to sit with my friends and laugh my ass off at them, So hopefully Glasgow enjoys it, and hopefully they show out and everybody shows up and buys tickets, and we can fill the room at the Cottonwood. I think we only got like 120 tickets to go around, so that's a smaller venue than I've done yet. So
Really?
yeah,
Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah, we did.
Is that capacity there? Or
Yeah. Oh, yeah. With tables, we're going to do kind of comedy club style, tables of 8. People can buy a table type thing. And it seems to work better. That's kind of what I did at City Hall,
Yeah.
A lot of businesses like to buy, say if you're a big business, you want to buy your employees something good to go do on a Friday night or whatever it is, So.
No, that's a good thing.
And it turns out it's it might be divisional track meet, I think, up there that day too.
Oh,
So.
really?
Yeah,
Well,
we
that's
pull a
coming
few
right
off
up.
that. Yeah. Yeah, not long, so.
No, I don't think you'll have any issues packing that place with those guys.
I hope not, but it's always scary. Every show you do, I'm terrified. I mean, you're always the one guy that I've always bounced every idea off of anyway, whether it's just complaining about what I got going on or what. But this one was one thing, and we had one venue set up, and then just kind of realized that it wasn't going to end up working with the cost of things and everything else, and so I had to go have that tough, awkward conversation this morning and say, hey, let's do something else at your venue, and I'm going to move this one. I'm sorry, but I just, I'm not in it to lose my ass.
Yeah.
I'd sure like to get rich, but I mean, I prefer to not lose a bunch of money. So,
Yeah. And keeping the relationships, I mean, you're managing the thing all the way up to the end.
oh yeah,
Even getting the guys home,
yep, yeah, it's a ton of work, but I enjoy it. That's the kind of work that keeps me on my toes more than anything. I really, it kind of makes you feel alive inside, I guess. I'm always, well, I guess that could be,
get it.
that could be part of the scare thing of me, of skateboarding and all that. It's almost like I'm not happy unless I'm scared of something, or got some nerves going on.
I have a little bit of that myself.
Yeah.
Here and there.
Yeah.
It pops up probably once every 2 years.
Yeah.
Got to go do something.
That's me. I don't understand what it is. I kind of, in some ways, wish that it wasn't like that, because But then again, there's a lot of things I wouldn't have made happen if it wasn't like that.
Yeah.
Hey, you and I, and we've probably talked about it on the podcast, but you and I put on those fights back in the day.
Yeah.
Did a couple different cage fights here in Malta, and as far as I know, that second cage fight's still probably the biggest crowd Malta's seen for anything in a long time.
Yeah, I don't know. We had an estimate on it once. I don't know how much
Yeah,
it was.
how many open holes and
Yeah.
who knows. And now, actually, our buddy Wes, who fought out of the gym, is putting on some fights. He's doing one car show weekend. He calls it Fight for the Future, and he puts all the money back into the Ronald McDonald House. So, it's a cool thing.
I think it is a cool
Wait
thing.
a minute, you weren't training for that fight, were you, when you blew your bicep?
No. I'm done.
All right. I've wondered the same thing about Wes last year, but I'm up there on the microphone. I DJ'd for him, and pretty soon he's like, "Well, I'm not. It's not striking, but I'm going into grappling only." I'm like, "Wes, you're running the show, buddy. You can't put this on me. I don't even know the fighters.
You can't run the show and have a concussion at the same time. I don't know. We've probably had this conversation at least 3 or 4 times.
I know. Nate's going, "Well, if he drops out, I'll fight." I'm like, "Nate, I need you here, man."
Yeah, you get around it.
Nobody
though,
shows up. You and I are fighting. That's all that comes down to it.
Best of 9.
That's funny. I was talking about just that exact story today when I was sitting at one of the businesses in Glasgow visiting with him. And he was talking about the cage fights when they first started them there. And I said, Nate fought him. Very first one up here on the High Line. And then I was telling the story about that. And I go, the nervous part about being a promoter is you're trying to talk a guy to jump into the cage and either beat somebody up or get beat up. You don't know how many of them are going to scatter before the show actually starts. So,
Fight or flight.
Yeah.
And when it's both going off, man, I guess it's what wins. But
it sure is fun to watch. I don't care what you say, but people like to watch people get punched in the face.
And it's got to be well regulated, man. That's one thing that scared me the most was somebody getting hurt.
Me too.
You know, like I just
we got all these bare knuckle leagues down in Florida and shit where these guys are making millions on these.
Well, it gets
I'm like,
crazy,
how could you sleep with yourself at night on some of these?
Especially if something happened.
Watch some guy get stiffed and he's done for however long or forever, and you feel pretty bad about it, I'm sure.
And part of that, it was awesome. I remember both of them coming up because everybody that fought from here was training hard.
Yep.
I mean, they were going to be able to go in there and survive, you know.
Well, and that was part of our deal, too, was we didn't want to just throw somebody in the cage that we didn't think had at least a fighting chance. You know, I mean.
Maybe one.
Yeah, well, he was at least athletic still. Yeah, I'll never forget that Chance Avery's fight. The kid made it to the second round, and I remember his coach going, "I don't know what to do. Just drop kick him." He goes and he runs out there and tries to drop kick him. Chance drops him, but what else are you gonna do at that point?
Yeah,
Realize you got in the cage with a monster.
Yeah, a few monsters jumped into that cage.
Yeah, and
No,
one of them got choked out too. That was we would have never thought, but yeah.
Yeah, a couple of them.
Crazy. It's a crazy world, that fight game, you know. And I kind of part of the thing I'd like to see, like the UFC go towards, and I mean they sort of do, and you know everybody's excited to see the belt, but I don't mind watching a good matchup, like something that you think would be. You've always thought like, hey, what if this guy fought this guy?
Yeah.
They should make more of that happen as far as prize fighting goes for them, for those guys to make some money too. You know, I mean you get a lot of those what if fights. I mean, we've been lucky enough to see Conor McGregor go up and down in weight class to fight people, but I mean, not only him, but there's a lot of other guys you wonder, man, what if he fought him, or you know, kind of the way the UFC used to be. I wish they'd do a little more of that, and now there are some of those fight leagues picking some of those older guys up and things.
And I got to be honest, man, I haven't been watching much of it.
I haven't either too much.
I quit just to like not light the fire.
Yeah,
because I had a pretty good fire going there for a couple of years.
The only time I really get to watch UFC, because I bartend on the weekends, Friday and Saturdays, if they have one of the non-pay-per-view fights on, you know, so I don't, if it's on Fox or whatever, we'll throw it on at the bar. And then when you're working at the bar, you're always worried, God, I hope this doesn't get all the patrons fired up and they're going to start fighting each other.
Oh, I've seen it.
Back to the Hallmark Channel.
A couple of guys I deployed with after one of my fights, I sat and watched them fight in Glasgow. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it happens quite a bit.
Thing is, a lot of times you never see. It's usually not the guys that have been training that decide to go pick a new fight. It's the guys that watched everybody else fight and got fired up and go, I could do that.
Big time.
Yeah. Well, I enjoy that. I'm happy that Wes is trying to keep it alive here and bring it back, and for a hell of a good cause. He's putting some money towards them too. So
Yeah, and it's got personal meaning to him, and Wes is a good dude.
oh, for sure.
I grew up with Wes. We played baseball together as kids, you know, like
Yeah.
ending up on same teams all the way into adulthood.
Was Wes always? Was he big as a kid too? I mean, Wes.
Yeah,
this
he
guy
was-
we're talking about fought heavyweight out of our gym with us,
Yeah,
and
he
ended
was
up going
always
pro
big.
some,
He was
yeah.
he was the
Early
probably the
bloomer
tall
guy.
Yeah.
I seen a picture the other day on Facebook of his sister, who now she's pretty tall, but she is a junior high basketball team, and there were actually a couple of the girls on her team that were taller than her. That now she's got 6 inches on, but it was kind of funny to look at. She goes, back when she posted on there, she said, back when I was a normal sized human or something. She posted.
Yeah, they're good. That whole family does
Yeah,
a lot
always
for
does.
the sporting environment up over in Dotson and Malta.
Sure. Yeah, it's kind of a cool thing. And like we said, the small communities, if people don't step up like that and give a lot of their time, you just flat lose a program or
Yep.
whatever it'll be. So,
And when you watch that with baseball in this town, I mean, there was some interest popping up, but, you know, it
yeah.
takes a lot of people that really want it to go to drive something like that. So,
We've had a local guy here move in, and he kind of took over a bunch of the leagues and started pushing things a little harder. And now they're getting a few kids out again. And another big thing in Malta is we got the rec department back, the local city hall rec department.
that's
What
awesome.
what used to be around when we were kids, you know, and putting on all sports. Hell, they got all sorts of programs and adult basketball, adult volleyball, dodgeball, things for the little kids. They go Tiny Tots. My little daughter goes down there on Thursdays and plays with a bunch of kids in the gym, and they bring out like parachutes and big balloons and whatever, you know. And then they got soccer revived here in Malta again. Soccer's
nice.
going crazy for the young kids.
Soccer's a good game.
It's unbelievable how good these guys have been doing from what standpoint of where we were.
Yeah.
And yeah, soccer's something I wish that we would have had around more when I was here a kid, because for one, I was never big enough to actually do damage on a football field. You were freakishly athletic for as little as you were. You were real good on a football field. Still, I didn't have that blessing. I could be fast, but man, I didn't pack much of a punch. So
I learned how to play football in Tracy Henry's backyard,
yeah.
you know, and I was playing against older kids, and I just go for the knees. I probably walked off that football field with 3 or 4 concussions. Who knows?
Yeah.
But
When I only weighed 100 pounds or 89 pounds my freshman year, you know, that was on a fat day. It just didn't matter how fast I ran on the football field. I wasn't having much luck.
Yeah.
So then I started videoing the team, which was actually, what's funny is it's led into a lot of the digital stuff that I do
yeah.
today. So it actually turned out to be a good thing.
and guys like me, you know, with TBI, like starting way in the back, you know, trying
Yep.
to catch up.
Yeah.
Big time.
Oh, it was something. I got to, well, and then, like I said, I used to sit up in the booth next to Kelb, and that kind of spawned into a love for the radio, and that's where the kind of the radio career, now the podcast, and whatnot came out. And
Yeah, I sit and wonder sometimes about what's going to happen with the sports casting up
me
here
too.
in 10 years.
Me too. I definitely wonder, and I don't know what the thing is. Is a lot of like the other companies are coming in now and putting. I mean, you can catch most videos if you've signed up for a certain website, and you can watch most games now. Not so much football, but a lot of the basketball and wrestling, and then you know,
Oh, you see it.
which is, and I knew that curve had to be coming. You know, I mean,
Well, especially as a low population density is what Montana has.
yeah,
You know, somebody's going to be able to cover it all. It's a lot of miles in the van, but
yeah. Or you get into, you know, late in wrestling season, and not all parents can make it because the roads are covered with 2 feet of snow, or
Yeah.
you know, or something that the bus is always trudging through. It seems like, but
yeah, the bus will get there.
I don't even hardly ever remember getting told no, we're not going because the roads are bad or anything like
I
that.
don't think I recall a single time.
I remember a couple pretty hairy bus trips, but
Yeah. I remember a really hairy one coming back from Cut Bank.
yeah.
I think it was a Comus driving the bus
yeah.
on that one, and
We went through a yard one time in Kalispell. I can't remember where the hell we were coming. It was one of those long trip football games, maybe to Eureka or something back. But we started sliding off on the road and bump right into the yard, and of course all the kids are cheering him on, you know. Pretty funny times back. I used to, and I even did it when I was coaching. I'd sleep in that upper rack. I was small enough I could fit in the luggage rack. Well, you could lay all the way flat and actually get a good nap in up there. It wasn't a bad deal.
No, they did good with the buses.
If we'd ever rolled, I was first one dead, but yeah, it was fun times. So did you bring the whole family up for Easter?
I did. A couple of them were reluctant to get in the van, but we got them in there. And for the first time in a year, we've left our dog.
Yeah.
So
We got a new dog now, and so anytime we got 2 dogs, but anytime we leave town now, our other dog, we can just drop her off at my mom's, and she'll stay with my mom, be great. And the other one, man, first time we let her go, which she's still only like, I bet like 8 months old now.
Oh, yeah.
But first time we let her go back with her mom, with Matt and her mom almost killed her. Like literally to the brink of death. I had to play vet for the next 2 months.
Oh, you're kidding me.
On her, like, I mean, she got a big abscess on the side of her neck. I mean, she tried to kill her. Well, she got all the way under the bed and saved herself because the other dog couldn't fit under the bed. But I had to lance an abscess in my shower, and it was, I mean, yeah. So we brought her back, and then the next time I let her go to my mom's, and she's still kind of a shithead over there. And
Yeah, it did. That first year with the dog.
It's, you know, you're hating almost every minute of it at that, but then you start seeing the little glimpses of them starting to come around, and then you're like, God damn it, I love this little thing now. And
Well, it was a little less than a year ago. We took our puppy over to Bozeman, and we stayed in this hotel, and I left Max in the hotel room with this dog. Mabel is our dog.
Yeah.
And he's sitting there on his phone the whole time, and she's down there chewing up the DVD or something cords and satellite cords and everything, and I think that ended up costing us about $500 or $600. So,
Ouch.
So we got a free dog,
Yeah.
but it's never free, man.
No, not at all. That's mine's getting right there. I'm gonna have to go get her spayed because I definitely don't want more puppies or anything. But
Yeah.
that'll cost me. And then same with her. That was part of the thing. When she was almost, I called the vet. I go, well, what are you gonna do that I can't, you know, type of thing. I go, I got this Vetricin. I'm gonna clean it up. I kind of shaved part of her hair off where it was. She was messed up.
What can I do to?
Yeah.
What steps can I do to make this a little bit cheaper?
How can I save some money? And she goes, well, we'll give you some antibiotics if you feel comfortable just administering them. We'll just come out and get the antibiotics and you give them to her. And sure enough, I did. And then pretty soon her whole face starts swelling up out here. I'm like, crap. So I started, of course, I just went to the old YouTube machine and figured out how to lance that thing in my shower, did it myself, and she's fine now. It was I wasn't going to go pay to keep her overnight. The thing, I mean, hell, she was a free dog, and we weren't that attached at that point yet.
No, I'm getting pretty attached to this dog. She's starting to really come around, so real bright.
This one, I'd called her dumb forever, but now she fetches. She'll come running up, and she'll actually throw her ball back to me. She can walk out and unlock the gate of our fence like she's a human. She'll just walk up and boom, open out the door. So I got to keep it all actually chained up now on my fence, and she doesn't run away. She just wants to prove she gets out, I guess. I don't know.
My dog's the same way. She'll get out the back fence, and we'll go back there kind of starting to panic, and then she'll just be sitting on the front step.
Yeah, just waiting for you. Yeah. Well, and I think our other dog, Sprout, I think she's hating it because we never used to really close the fence on her. She was a good enough dog. I'd just open up the front door, and she'd wander out in the yard and go do her thing and lay in the yard and the sun. And maybe once a summer you'd have to yell at her for going a little ways too far, but now she's sitting in there and you can tell the look on her face. She's pissed. She's like, what the hell's with this little dog that I got to put up with? Eating all my toys, and yeah. She's starting to calm down though, so it'll be.
My daughter, who's 4 now, her and that dog are inseparable, so.
Yeah.
And she's a cow dog, so if she gets running across the yard, the dog will nip at her feet and stuff.
Yeah.
It's funny. And I mean, they just go back and forth the whole time.
That's our our dogs had to be pretty calm to handle our youngest too. She's a wild woman and always hanging on their neck or something. You know, she used to Sprout would lay next to the couch. She'd use Sprout as a ladder to crawl up to the couch, step right on her head,
Trying to ride them.
Yep.
Oh,
yeah, you always. My grandpa, when I was a little kid, used to have a Great Dane, great big dog, and I'd ride that over at the old livestock yard when I was little. I think there's still some pictures floating around with me on him. Whiskey was his name. Got a cool dog.
That's a good name.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Yeah, I tried to get my brother to come over to this and tell some stories of our youth, but he's like me. He got up really early this morning, had a long day, and
Well, now you can tell all the stories that you won all those fights.
yeah. Well, that's what I was going
He's
to say.
not
I'm
here
gonna
to defend it.
I was thinking about that. I was like, man, I might have to tell a few of these a little bit differently.
Yeah.
But no,
How often were you guys fighting as kids? Did you get on each other's nerves all the time, or were you buddy or?
both.
Yeah.
Like, couldn't have a better friend. You know, better best friend. You know.
My son and my daughter, man, she could sneeze wrong and he's mad about it.
Yeah, but we were ruthless.
Yeah.
When it went south, it got bad. So
Yeah. That's probably what made you both so damn tough. I
I don't know. Well, I had an older brother too.
Yeah.
I kind of think he had a lot to do with, being in a defensive posture.
Yeah, I suppose.
Feeling a room out every time you walk into it.
Yeah.
But a lot of things may have gone into it, but that was probably the start of it.
Mine, my brother and I used to, my parents, my mom was a waitress or still is, and my dad would play music all the time, so they'd leave my older brother and my sister and I at home to fend for ourselves. They were old enough to babysit, but things would get pretty wild once mom and dad left. We'd go upstairs and pull the mattresses off our bed, and either we would fold them up in the stairway and make a big chute slide right there, or Jay and I would bring them down and put them between. We had a couch on each wall, and then we'd play WWF or WWE, whatever it was, professional wrestling in the back. So the couch were the top ropes, and I remember one time I was doing flips off of there, and I landed and hit my head on the back of my knee, and Jade somehow followed me up and drove me right back into my knee again. I put my teeth right through my bottom lip. Don't tell mom. Don't tell mom. You're dead. Bleeding all over.
Yeah. I did it to myself.
Yeah. What happened? I did a flip.
No. First time I got Denny really good, I came up with a plan with a guy named Jason Pekovich.
Yeah.
We hung out a bit, quite a bit when we were younger, 5th or 6th grade, and I don't know. We got him on next to this chair or something and flipped him over in the back of the chair, and he banged his head off the concrete in the basement. We were probably a block and a half away before he woke up,
Oh, man.
hit and run.
You ever been knocked out as a kid?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
A couple times.
I
couple times as a kid. And
I've had some big bell ringers. I think the only time I knock on wood that I actually ever
a few times as
was
an
on a dirt bike.
adult.
Yeah. I've been blasted pretty hard a few times and still went like, oh. Didn't go down.
I did a physical a couple months ago, and writing down all my concussions. And
Mine would have been like junior high football even because like I said, I was so small, And so they do tackling drills, and I swear the sadistic coach that I had at the time, he'd line me up with whoever our starting running back was. And go, tackle him, Travis, and he just one of those come around the bag and your head on drills,
Yeah.
And I remember a few times of my legs tingling pretty hard after a few of those hits, but never did knock me out, I guess. But I'm sure it couldn't have been good on the brain like that. And then
no, I don't think it is.
I've always, and I keep saying this would be $1 billion idea. I want to make reform all the football helmets, but make them out of what they make those goddamn cheese heads in Green Bay out of.
Oh, really?
Just a big foam thing on your head. I mean, you tell me you could probably run pretty hard and smash that in your head, it'd be all right, as opposed to the hard impact of shell to shell. I think that's the jar of where your
everything stops.
brain without a seatbelt in there is
where it's a
slapping against the
collision.
windshield. Yeah. So I mean, if it was two big foam things, you'd might not be near as exciting, but
You heard it here.
yeah, exactly. I was telling you earlier, it's copyrighted, right? Or if I put it down first before anybody else said it.
Yeah, copyrights and patents are different.
Exactly. I could imagine that just some random idea like that. That's the one thing that made you famous. How'd you buy your island? Cheesehead helmets.
Hit Pelican Island.
Yeah, no shit. That's about as close as I'd get. I don't know. the kids one time we were out at the lake. We were telling them about Pelican Island. Took them by the boat, and why don't we stay the night out there sometime? 'Cause kid, can you smell that? Sorry. It's kind of crazy that just like the Galapagos Islands or certain things like that, the places that you just don't get humans on chunks of land very often. Certain things where animals have taken over and how how some of them have lived. And I know Disney's making a big movie of these penguins coming up pretty soon again, and somebody that was kind of familiar with them telling me, they're pretty much just good-looking seagulls. They waddle around, they swim, but like as far as being a nuisance and shitting all over everything, they're pretty much the same thing, I guess. But they're cute, so Disney loves them.
Oh, yeah.
I like to watch them.
Well, they flock together in certain spots, and just a lot of bird shit.
Mm-hmm. You ever go on the website Reddit?
Not much.
Man,
sometimes I stumble across Reddit just because things I'm looking for are on there, but
I'd say it's one of my favorite social medias or websites. It seems like there's way more information on there as opposed to what you get on Facebook or Facebook personal stuff. But sometimes
Facebook is seems like a lot of propaganda anymore.
it is, and they I just seen a thing the other day too. They leaked everybody's password again.
Oh, really?
And all your shit. And like Joe Rogan says, though, he thinks that, and I kind of agree with him, that if you're not okay with giving away your privacy, you're pretty much going to have to go live in a hole somewhere. It's
to an extent.
Yeah, you're not that I got anything to be that private about, but you sit there and I like my Xbox, it's got that Connect or whatever, you walk in the room and it goes, "Hello, Travis," pops up, and you're like, huh. It recognizes your face and everything, What the hell?
Yeah, all kinds of biometrics going on.
We would have never, how fast it's...
Well, even getting into like an iPhone 10 or something like that, they got facial recognition, thumbprint.
Just pick it up and
iris scan.
It's a little crazy.
DNA.
Yeah, no shit. Have to put a drop of blood on it to open it up now.
They just get it.
What's next? That's what I mean. Like, what the hell? What comes? Do we just live in virtual reality? I don't think I'll make it there. I'm one of those guys that gets... if I keep virtual reality goggles on too long, I get a little sick. Almost car sick, kind of.
Yeah, that is too much. And the real sunshine is so good for you, man.
Oh, I agree.
As soon as that winter broke, man, things started livening up just inside of me.
Yeah. Well, my old lady, she's from Florida, and she's half Mexican, and she loves the sun. She could be in 100-degree heat and not sunburn and still love it. I'm almost the opposite, but she gets a little... stir crazy in the winter without any sun. She's going, when can we go to Florida or whatever,
that's crazy to me too, man. Even growing up in this northern hemisphere here in Montana, like when I went to Iraq and Afghanistan, when it was hot and cooking and I was drinking a lot of water and doing a lot of work, like I felt good, man. I felt like my legs were really under me.
I don't do too bad if it weren't for the sunburn part.
Yeah.
Other than that, I do all right. If it's like, say, if it's just warm out, I'm okay. But and I've learned over the years that I either find shade or wear clothes that cover, like light wet clothes. But if it's like straight, like today, sitting on bleachers, straight beating down sun, and I'll get sunburned.
Yeah,
so
I don't really ever. We operated in long sleeve shirts and pretty much you got a real good hand tan, But if you weren't wearing your gloves, but. Yeah, pretty much all the way covered up, man.
How long were you? You were in the military quite a while before you got deployed over there, weren't you? What was your first deployment you did? You did something locally here, didn't you? Or go?
Well, yeah. I did like some guard bum stuff. Had a couple sets of orders here and there, but I think I got in '96. Actually, went to basic training before my senior year, and I deployed to Iraq in 2004. So 8 years.
Man, that's crazy. What do you think when you're getting called up? I suppose I think we were living together when the Twin Towers got hit. I don't remember if you were still I think you were in that house, weren't you? Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about that the other day too. All the guys I was sitting around.
I remember Ryan. We were supposed to go to work, and I don't remember if it was you or Ryan. Someone comes up, they're bombing us. Come look at the TV, and we definitely took that day off of work, but Crazy.
Yeah, it was Ryan and I were getting ready to go to Fort Polk, Louisiana.
Yeah, he was still in the guards then, wasn't he?
Yeah, we were going to do a air assault school. Like the next day, and it got canceled. Like our flights got canceled, so we didn't make it.
Is that when a lot of the local stuff changed to MPs and all that? Is that?
It was in that 2004 time frame when they switched to MPs here and a tangent. I think there were 19 or 20 guys out of this unit that ended up going to Iraq with the infantry. So I was on that bus,
Yeah.
which was good.
Yeah. Good.
I mean, I love Alaska.
Yeah.
You know where the MPs went, but I felt like it was something I had to do. You know,
What's
Pekovic was on that one. Like guys like Kill Eagle.
Yeah.
Dwight Score's like a offshoot cousin of mine.
Yeah.
You know, guys that I grew up with, you know. Like that was my own personal thing, is I don't know if I could have dealt with it very well if I was up halibut fishing.
Yeah, well, everybody
else is in Iraq.
No
and what's
kidding.
funny is, like all the Malta guys go over and they kind of get pulled into this third platoon. And I'm over in this first platoon, like the only guy over there. A few Glasgow guys and stuff, but you know, it was a.
What was the biggest thing culture-wise while you were over there? I mean, other than all the war stuff that is different from what we do, you think?
Well, very collectivist.
Yeah.
You know, just and I get there. The war's year and a half old or whatever. So, I mean, that kind of creates its own. When your country is under attack,
Oh yeah.
it's gonna go a little further into poverty than maybe it was. So what I was seeing was a ton of poverty and, you know, people trying to operate their lives like around two different people fighting because,
Well, yeah. That's.
I mean, you dealt with the population because the population was getting paid money to plant IEDs and, you know, or they're sick of it and they're planting IEDs or
Yeah.
just sick of it, gonna shoot somebody.
Well, I've always said that too. What if China came and set up camp here in South Phillips County?
You'd
You'd have a hell of a lot of angry ranchers and whoever the civilians are that, you know.
I thought about that all the time when I was over there. I had empathy for that too. I was like, man, I wouldn't. If this was in my backyard, man, I don't know what I'd do.
Nobody putting up with it, or yeah, it'd be.
And I learned a lot. You know, I learned a lot from those people. You know, like it's just I mean, there's stuff that growing up as an American in Northeast Montana that you're not gonna that you think that's strange. But I mean, that's just, you know.
There's a lot of things we don't see here if we don't get out beyond Malta, you know.
You know, it was hard for me. Like, I came back and I had some kids all of a sudden, you know, and I'm like, man, you guys don't know how good you got it, you know.
Yeah.
But in reality, you know, there's a lot of sad things you see too. You know, there was a day that there was a suicide bomber that went in and blew himself up and blew a bunch of people up, including a whole bunch of kids. And
That's crazy stuff.
yeah, it was. We were close to it when it happened, and on the scene all day long, and all kinds of triage going on, and you know, dead bodies everywhere. And that's something that I'll never forget that day.
How would you?
Yeah.
It's the realities of war, I guess. But yeah, how would
and
you?
you don't think of them like, you just don't think of it as. You get to a point where it's not different people. I mean, they're just people.
The people,
Yeah, they're
Well,
people
and
trying to
the
live
thing,
their
I mean,
life, and it's.
What the hell the kids do, you know, that
Yeah.
kind of thing. But yeah,
And you know, there's a lot of talk about what the operation was about in the first place, and you know, you just really got to take care of the guys next to you,
Yeah.
and do your daily duties with, you know, to not let them down, you know.
Oh, I remember, right? Like when you first got back from that first tour, how much your head was on a swivel of even just walking down the street here.
Yeah,
I mean, you get used to it. I'm sure you were over there for a year, and
yeah, it's hard for me still
How
to
to
even
come
go
back
into
into-
crowded bars, you know.
yeah, come back into
Or-
civilian life. I
Or
bet.
anything that, like, there's a crowd, I'm like looking to get out of there.
Yeah, I could
it's like-
imagine that.
I was like, I'd rather play this music in my basement.
Yeah, Well, shit, it's happening on our own soil now too. You know, like even that shooting of the guy in Vegas, and
Oh yeah, that's
it's just a crowd of people, and we had
Yeah.
some local people that were actually down there doing that and had left right before that
oh really?
all happened. Yeah, good friend of mine too. Yeah, yeah, kind of a crazy deal, and he was obviously a little shook from like, holy shit,
Well,
we were just there.
that's everywhere too, man.
Yeah.
Like there's
There's crazy people no matter where you
Well,
go.
there-
I don't.
you kind of get
Or
a
have a
high
reason.
population stuff, high population densities, and there's a kind of a battle for resources, and
Yeah.
resources. Even if it's a corner or a little chunk of land out here, as far as we're concerned, or
Yeah.
something like that, man, you would, what extent would you go to keep holding on to that? You know?
Sure. Yeah. We out here we almost don't know how good we really do have it, and a lot of people sit back and go, crap, there's nothing happening around here. And sure, yeah, you don't get to go to the Metallica concert coming next month or whatever, but you also don't have to put up with a lot of the
Well, even
BS.
like I'm in Missoula. I lived there for 5 or 6 years, and I was like, man, this traffic is crazy.
Yeah.
And then like you go to Seattle, you're like, oh,
Yeah, Missoula's pretty small.
Yeah.
After
let's go home.
I remember coming back from Phoenix of feeling, because as a kid growing up, Billings was always big, And when I came back from Phoenix, I remember thinking, just almost kind of giggling to myself of how small Billings felt,
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a different world. And the thing is, we're literally almost in the middle of nowhere out here when we say that. I mean, you can't, there's a closest Walmart's 90 miles away.
Yeah.
And that's pretty rare for around America,
And up to 10, 12 years ago, it was 200 miles away.
Yeah, exactly. It's sad. I see in Glasgow today, we're in there, and Shopko's closing down. And so
really?
as I go to a lot of these local businesses, and I knew a lot of them from radio and whatnot, and I'd start asking, so what do you guys think of Shopko's closing down? Is that going to be a boost for retail? You guys hate it? He goes, at first when they came into town, we probably hated it because, certain retails were dead. But now those ones that are dead and gone and the others have sustained with them there, now the rest of us still got to find a place to buy cheap underwear.
Yeah.
I was like, well, I guess, yeah.
And retail being local,
Yeah, yeah.
all it takes is maybe even 40% in a town like that to start buying everything off of Amazon, and
Exactly.
you can't sustain it, man.
No, and that's Amazon's crushed a lot of it. Amazon's crushing the big box stores is what's going on. I mean, and I don't blame them because just like you, we can sit in our basement and wait for that package to show up. And you can get anything in the world that you need as far as resources go. You can get on YouTube and learn almost any trade or craft you want to learn now and order the parts or buy the computer or whatever it is to do it.
And my wife will do Amazon, and my kids or whatever, and Walmart and stuff like that. I can't do it, man.
Just can't do it.
I just can't. I can't.
But the reason I do, well, mostly,
Especially my music stuff.
Yeah.
Like I will go.
Oh, yeah.
I will go to Piccolo's in Helena every single. I mean,
yeah,
if it costs me an extra $100, I do it.
It's
I don't
worth
know
it.
what.
I agree
mean,
that way. I mean,
just
like-
because, like, what if I need like strings at 4:00 for a 7:00 deal? You
Yeah.
know, like I ain't getting that shit from Amazon.
there's a lot of things locally here, like Hardware Hank or Radio Shack, and I'll for sure always go to try and buy that stuff, especially when I'm like putting on one of my shows or whatever, as opposed to going and buying cheaper off of there. But then again, there's always that thing of I'm watching out for my back, and certain people around town do help you and whatnot, but you still got to watch out for the number one, and
You do.
no place in Malta is selling cell phone parts for my other business.
No,
so
that's a yeah.
I got to find them there. So, or well, not necessarily Amazon, but the internet.
Yeah.
And it's been crazy, man. That's the thing that I wonder of. That's one of the things that makes me like stay awake at night, is that my brain doesn't have 4 different channels that I can actually, I can learn this at one time. I'm trying to learn this, or there's so much information out there, and I can't download it all, and it pisses me off. Actually,
I honestly have a few things that I have going at all times too, but I'm better if I got like just the one thing going for a minute.
yeah, I wish
But-
I could do that. That's the whole ADHD
No,
in my brain. That
I got maybe a little bit of that too, but
Yeah.
I try to really hone in on what I'm doing.
I've been doing a thing lately that, and it's kind of more or less a way to me talk myself into doing the things that I don't feel like doing, even if it's like work that I love. I'll procrastinate and just not do it when I should. But I started putting in my head of if I can just sit down for 5 minutes, just go do 5 minutes of it. And usually by the end of that 5 minutes, you're already in the zone, and then you're not stopping it. But it's that it sounds so much easier if you say you're only going to go do 5 minutes than to go and try and complete a full project today or whatever. But if you didn't see the garage, there's about 15 motorcycles in there.
I did see that. You're building her back up.
So those are projects. I need to start the 5 minute rule on those too, I guess. But
that's big projects too, man.
Oh, I enjoy them though. I like that part of it, even just tinkering around with them.
It's just even in the last few years, man, I really tried not to overwhelm myself. I've done it to myself so many times where I'm just sitting on a mountain of tasks, and owing people, and it's just like
I finally got a whiteboard in my desk in the house, a big whiteboard like this one here, and being able to write down what's coming up next and things, and helps me not go 2 weeks later and go, oh yeah, I was supposed to finish those business cards yesterday or whatever. Like crap, because I'm doing the graphic design stuff all the time too. So you'll get projects in the works, or I'll send you a design and go, hey Nate, what do you think of this logo? It's 2 weeks later. You send me something back and go, yeah, here's what I think, or
you already published it.
And then I gotta go and put it back out. Yeah, and it's crazy. I really, really wish on my own that I would have started this 10 years ago. I mean, I wouldn't have had some of the experience that I gained on my own, but certain things I wish I wouldn't have stuck out longer and tried to grind them out. And no offense to that. I mean, that was part of growing too,
Oh yeah, and you learn from sticking with something too long.
Yeah,
too.
Definitely. Oh yeah, and there's certain things in my brain now that make me stronger of knowing the struggle here.
Like hey, like all right, knowing when to drop it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
But I get the same way, man. And I was doing real good about 3 weeks ago, and then I lost the use of my arm, which seems to be a required piece of equipment in about everything that I do.
An injury. It's real tough to fight through it. Not only just the injury, but to not get depressed while you have an injury, also. Or to get down on yourself. Same with like when my arm was all casted up here in the last couple of years and couldn't play guitar. At least you've been able to stand your banjo up and play it. I literally couldn't turn my wrist over this way
I was worried when they cut into it because that incision right there is right where the motherboard is at, and I've had
a cool scar anyway.
Yeah, match the other one right next to it.
Yeah,
but
I got a good one going down my wrist from that one, but I had to re-break it.
Yeah, that's a hard spot right there at the wrist too, because the wrist movement,
Oh yeah, I'd say I got 95% of my movement back, but you can see there's one screw that on this side that pokes out, and if I accidentally tap that on something metal, holy cow, I about piss myself every time. Well, and I need to go get it pulled out, but
I tell myself every morning too, I was like, chill out. Yeah. Like if this doesn't heal right, if this doesn't heal right, you're really gonna put yourself in a bind, and that pile really isn't gonna go anywhere. But I always have that pile of things that I got to do on my mind.
I was like, day after surgery, you're sending me text messages. Look at I'm playing. I'm like, yeah, of course you are. Well, pushing through it already.
Well, playing guitar wasn't as big of a deal. In fact, keeping that finger movement going, I think is kind of a requirement.
But even when you get hurt, though, a guy always worries about your hobbies of what the things that you enjoy doing that make you happy. Lifestyle, whatever. Yeah. But the things that make your brain happy, you don't want to have to. Oh shit! Can't do that anymore. Now what do I do?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I'll be able to, throw a ball. I play a lot of softball and baseball with my kids in the backyard. Almost anytime the sun's shining, we played a lot. And I'm like, all right,
you're gonna have to switch to soccer.
Something.
No hands.
I got a bum leg, too.
Yeah, you're right. You screwed up that ankle that time, too.
I think it'll come back. But like I said, you really got to be patient with yourself.
Well, especially as we get older. That's the big thing, is this. I mean, I'm up there with those little kids at the skate park. I'm going, it must be nice to be able to just bounce like that. I mean, they freaking slap the ground, back up, no pain going. And I'm like, I do that 3 times. Something's broke. It doesn't I don't know. It's fun to watch a lot of those kids though. I'm glad that we got this skate park. I can see kids that are in a position like I would have been as not everybody's big enough to play football or even into stick and ball sports and you see some of them coming up there and just instantly getting good at certain things and you're like, this is
shredding.
Freaking cool. Yeah. Yeah, I enjoy it. Anyway, let's take a quick break. I gotta run outside and do the deed, so we'll be right back. All right, we're back. So I before we wrap this thing up, I wanted to give a big shout out to my mom. Tomorrow's her birthday, or actually in about 15 minutes, we're out here in the studio. So by the time that I post this, it'll be her birthday. So happy birthday, Mom. And she posted this thing that tomorrow's a full pink moon, apparently. And she's one of those people that really gets the full moon. And I guess I kind of believe it when I bartend. If it's a full moon out, you kind of go, shit, what's going to happen tonight? But full pink moon is pink moon named by Native Americans for the pink wild ground phlox, which is one of the earliest flowers to grow in spring. So happy birthday, Mom, and enjoy your pink moon. So far, that's all I got yet. No, I don't.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me, man. It's always good to come back to Malta. And,
Yeah, I'm glad you came in. Those songs are awesome, too.
yeah, I've been working. I got a few others you probably haven't heard either, and I'm looking to get them recorded sometime here. So
I work. I know I work the bar. Who knows what I'll have going on the rest of the weekend? But you guys got big Easter plans? You doing?
Oh yeah, it just kind of seems like we'll
Paintball with the family or anything crazy like that again?
No, I think we retired the paintball. I don't want to be out there with paintball either right now, but
One of the best pictures you ever had was your grandma out there with the paintball gun. I'm like, that's
and
freaking awesome.
nobody can shoot her back.
Yeah.
She's just letting it rip on everybody. No mask.
I got shot right in the eyeball one time playing paintball. I don't remember if you were out there with us or not, but it was Mayhew. I lift up my mask, I was fogging up, and I just peek around a corner while he was right on the other side of the tree, and he goes, huh! Boom, shot me right in the eyeball with a paintball from about me to you away right now.
Oh, man.
Oh, it dropped me. I thought I was going to be blind for sure, but luckily I came out of her.
No, we kept the paintball going for a while, and then,
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think Easter egg hunts and stuff, we all got a bunch of little ones now.
It's ours. We're going to do ours out at the cabin with the Easter egg hunt, and then we usually let the kids go hide them, and the adults do an Easter egg hunt, which can get semi-violent depending on if there's booze involved or not. But yeah, it should be fun.
Yeah, we might do some amateur fishing, or,
Yeah,
might have a gun or two.
it's always fun. Where are you guys going?
Fishing?
Yeah, or I mean, where are you going? Well, you don't need to tell me that, but where are you going for your Easter?
Malta.
Is it your mom's house or
Yeah.
Malta? Just narrow it down to Malta. Nobody wants to know where they're shooting guns and fishing anyway.
I just rode for 6 hours in the car with a 4-year-old. Is this Malta? Nope.
That's really funny because today we headed out of town and we didn't make it very far. And Rhea did the whole, "Are we there yet? Are we there yet?" And she's only 2. Like she's, she talks well, but Carol looks at me. She goes, "I thought that was just a joke amongst parents. I didn't think they actually repeat themselves like that." I go, "You don't remember Braden and Savannah doing that? Because yeah, they do."
And you got to go in a freestyle too. And my daughter, like when I'm jamming, she's always around me, and like I'll sing loud when when everybody else is out of the house except for her.
Me too. Yeah.
So when we're heading in the road trip, she is letting it rip.
Yeah.
That's how you do it.
That's awesome. My youngest daughter gets some of the best of my music too. I'll make up songs with her and everything, whatever, and she'll sing along. And Wednesdays are my day off. I take Wednesdays off from all my job, or try to as much as I can. But then I call it Rhea Daddy Days, so I'm home with her all day, and we play and screw off and eat junk food and whatever. It's a good time. But
it's actually, when I got this surgery, I've been home, every day. So we just been I've been hanging out. So that's a godsend,
So does the Army just give you some paid leave for time for it? Or
I actually, the first couple of days they give me some sick leave, and then I was just like, I'm gonna be good before I walk back into this place, because
don't blame me there.
I got to put this thing up a few times a day, and then we lost our babysitter for a week here with kind of a family emergency.
Oh crap!
So
yeah, that's a little tough. That's us. We don't. And part of the thing too, my oldest boy, as we were growing up, he was 5 days a week a babysitter. Just so we'd work 8 to 5 or whatever it was, just average hours, and he was at a babysitter growing up. Savannah partially, but it was more so a family friend than just a babysitter there. And then she's got one of her best friends is that age too, or they had a kid the same age. It was Noah and Kelsey. So she grew up there, and then now that our youngest, she goes to a babysitter once a week, and then other than that, she goes to my mom's house every once in a while, and you can tell the difference from what the attachment of the kids and how I wish I would, like I said, I wish I would have discovered that a lot earlier.
Yeah.
To try and, I mean, even if I'm right now, I'm up till midnight working doing this, but
I envy that out of the ranchers here. You know, you got a home operation and your kids are with you, you know, when you're working and stuff too. And that's, it's good for kids to see that.
as a young kid, I would have never thought that I would have wanted to farm or really ranch. I was always thought I'd get away and do bigger and better things. And now that I live here and I'm older, I'm like, man, they kind of got the life.
Well,
Seeing some of my buddies out there doing their thing.
Yeah,
like,
it's hard work too, but I mean,
it is, but it's enjoyable.
Kids in the swamp are with you, you know, like that's it's a good thing, man.
Seems fun. Well, Nate, thanks for coming. I know we both got pretty big days and weekends to contend with coming up. And anybody that's listening, I'll be at the Mint Bar all weekend, so stop in.
Not me.
That's fine. You don't have to be. I don't think we got anything going on. It's the bar job's one of those love-hate things. Some days I'm really, really into it, and if it's a bar full of a bunch of your friends, you know, and you're selling drinks, it's a blast.
Yeah.
And there's other days you just cannot wait to get home and dealing with blood and puke or whatever's going on. It's a bar, you know. So anyway, Montarctica podcast. Nate, everybody, where can anybody check any of your newer music out anywhere? You got any out? Other than
I don't.
Here. So check out the podcast. Put it on repeat. Listen to Nate's new music. And we got the comedy show coming up in Glasgow, May 17th. I hope if anybody's in Glasgow listener or anybody close wants to drive down, I promise you it's going to be a hell of a show. And make sure you get your tickets early because it's going to, I'm crossing my fingers. I hope it sells out.
It'll sell out.
Let's hope. Anyway, thanks, Nate, for coming. Hope the arm heals up soon.
Me too.
All right. We're out.